Good morning, guys. Hope everything's going good. We're almost finished up with our first week of remote learning. So coming back to the packet, today we're gonna go over a little bit more on cats, continuing in the unit, and y'all's assignment is gonna be on declawing cats. So today we're gonna go over caring for cats. Honestly, cats are really laid back and they kind of do their own thing. They take care of themselves. So there's a lot of information in here that isn't always necessarily done. So when it comes to even just picking out a cat, everybody, you always pick first. Do you want a cat? Do you want a dog? Honestly, most people would rather have a dog, but the thing about a dog is that they require so much more work than a cat. They have to be taken outside, taken for walks. They're much more active. Most of them get much bigger than cats. And most of the things that come along with dogs, like the food, collars, leashes, toys, all that stuff, most things that come along with a dog are much more expensive. So typically the reason people will pick a cat is gonna be because they can't afford a dog or they don't have the time for a dog. For me, I was in that second option, that second category, where I don't have the time for a dog. With me driving all the way out to see you guys, I'm gone for like almost half the day. So when I decided that I wanted an animal, of course I wanted a dog, but do I want a dog that's not gonna have to be kenneled up for half the day, or I'm gonna have to rely on roommates or someone to stop in and check on my dog? That's not something that I want to do. If I get a dog, I want to be able to spend a lot of time with it, take care of it, love it, and let it be able to do its own thing. So that's why I got a cat. That's why I got Simba. I can leave him in my apartment. He can roam around. I can put out some food. I can put out some water, and he has a litter box that he can use. And he is completely fine doing just that. So I think we covered that. Yeah, and we also covered that. The initial price for cats is typically going to be a lot cheaper, unless you're buying like an amazing, beautiful, purebred cat, like a Persian or something. That's just a highly desired cat breed. A lot of times cats are going to be really cheap. And with cats being able to reproduce so quickly, you can almost always go on Facebook or Craigslist or somewhere, and you're going to find someone like, oh, my cat just randomly had kittens, giving away kittens for free. So when you do finally decide that you want to get a cat, you have to decide, do you want an adult cat or do you want a kitten? Of course you want a kitten. But do you have the time? Do you have the ability to take care of a kitten? Kittens, just like puppies, are pretty destructive. Except typically they're smaller, meaning they're more lightweight. They can literally climb your curtains. They're very adventurous. They'll try to eat anything. They'll try to play with anything. So if you don't have even necessarily the time for a kitten, or if you're older, like my grandma, she fell in love with Raisin and she wants a hairless cat now. My grandpa, hands down, absolutely not, super, super, super against it. And honestly, I don't know if my grandma needs a hairless cat because I love Raisin, but man, he's a needy cat that has a lot of requirements. So older people will typically go for adult cats so that they're more laid back, more relaxed, and they're not necessarily needing as much. But kittens, they are fun to watch grow up. They're super playful and they're really, really funny. If you do decide to go and get a kitten, you have to, well, not necessarily have to, but highly, highly, highly recommend that if you get a male cat or a male kitten, that he needs to be neutered by the time he reaches 6 months. because typically around that 6 to 8 month mark, if they're feeling the need to be territorial, like if you have another male cat in your house that isn't neutered, or if you have like the neighbor's cat wanders up to your door and messes with your cat through that door, around 6 to 8 months, that's going to be when male kittens start spraying, where they literally spray urine on things like walls, couches, furniture, like anything and everything. And it's not just urine that they're spraying. That urine also has a high amount of pheromones, so that other cats in the area, like if you were to bring another cat in your house, or if you already had another cat in your house and they were both competing for who's going to be that dominant cat, and one of them starts spraying, the other one is going to be able to smell those pheromones and be like, wow, he said it's his house. Now I need to go spray and let him know that no, not his house, this is actually my house. So around 6 months old, you definitely want to make sure that your male kittens are getting neutered, because when a cat sprays, it's not a smell you can ever get out. My parents, they live in an old farmhouse. It's like over 100 years old. I grew up in that house. My sister grew up in that house. The people that lived in that house before us, like 25 years ago, they had cats that weren't neutered. And there's this little closet in a room that used to be me and my sister's playroom. That closet was where the cats would go and they would spray. You can still, to this day, go in that little closet, open the door, and it smells like there's a cat living in there. Like, you can't scrub it out. You can't bleach it out. Like, if the cat sprays on your furniture, you don't get that scent out. You get a new couch. So making sure that if you have a male kitten, get them neutered, because the alternative is not something that you want to have to face. If you get a female kitten, then you also have to be sure that you know that they reach sexual maturity before males do. They're able to reproduce around 5 months old. That's an entire month before male cats are going to be able to reach maturity. So if you get a kitten, a female kitten, you want to make sure that she is also neutered or spayed. And if she isn't spayed, or if you're not sure how old she is, then you want to try to keep her away from male cats that are going to be able to breed her. Me and my sister, we got my mom 2 cats for Christmas this year, and one of them was a little boy, and his name was Woody, and Woody was about 4 months old. Then my sister, we also got her a female kitten. The female kitten, they didn't know how old she was, but she was this cute little bitty one. She was probably about 4 months old too. Like, she was tiny, and she was so sweet. And her name was Wheezy because she couldn't breathe right, and so she would kind of huff and puff and wheeze. So we got my mom these kittens. She fell in love. She'd been wanting cats because her other ones got out. Well, 2 months later, Wheezy's having kittens because the shelter thought that she was too young and too small to spay her. So they didn't. And it turns out that before she even got brought to the shelter, she was pregnant. So even though she was little and she was tiny, she was still apparently at least 5 months old by the time she was brought in there. So Wheezy is definitely at least 3 or so months older than Woody is, because she was already pregnant. And even though she was tiny and cute and hid it, they didn't know until my mom took them to go get spayed and neutered. And they did an ultrasound. They were like, she's pregnant. So make sure you keep your female kittens away from your male kittens, especially if you do not know how old that they are. Because my mom was not happy when she found out that Wheezy was pregnant. Because then you got to find homes for all them kittens. So you also need to figure out what kind of cat you want. Do you want a long-haired cat, a short-haired cat? Do you want a purebred, a mixed cat? Does it really matter? When I got Simba, I didn't really care what kind of cat I got. I got him from Mark's grandma. Mark's grandma had a cat that she had brought in as a stray, of course, pregnant. Like, honestly, if you take in a stray cat and it's a female, you can basically guarantee that she's going to be pregnant. So I got Simba from Mark's grandma. Didn't care what he looked like, none of that, because I knew I wanted a cat and he was free. And I was like, perfect. That's my kind of cat right there. So typically domestic cats, you never really know what you're gonna get with a mixed breed. You can always guess, but all cats have their own they have their own personalities. Like Simba, he's super laid back. Sometimes he'll get a wild hair and he wants to go play and fight and have fun and run around. Mal, she's very territorial. She's very to herself. She only likes Mark. She's not a big fan of me. And then Raisin, being a purebred, he has those characteristics of the Sphinx, where he really likes to eat. He's very warm. He's very affectionate. He's very needy, and he wants to be on top of you. So purebred cats are typically going to carry those characteristics that they should as a breed, because honestly, like, can you really call it a purebred cat if it doesn't have those things that a purebred cat is supposed to have? Getting a long-haired cat, with me getting Simba, he has to get brushed quite a lot, especially like right now with it transitioning from spring to summer. There's Simba puffs all around my house. Orange hair here, white hair here, and hairballs from when he's trying to groom himself and he's just licking the hair off and accidentally eating it. So a long-haired cat, while most people like a long-haired cat better because they look cool, they have all this hair, they do get hotter because, again, walking around with this huge coat on, and they do need to be groomed a lot so that you don't have these Simba puffs all over your house like I do. Mixed breed cats are most of the cats that you're going to see like in the pound, in the shelter, in people's homes, because cats, the way that they breed, it's just like boom, 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 boom. Like, they're almost as bad as rabbits, where they're able to breed very, very quickly and very easily. So most cats that you see are gonna be mixed breed cats. If you want a purebred cat, that's gonna be something you have to search out. So those mixed breed cats, with them being more common, the supply is up, the demand is right around here, meaning that the price is gonna have to meet in the middle, and the price is gonna be lower than especially for like a purebred cat. You always want to make sure that you're choosing a healthy cat, though. Like, regardless of the cat that you get, you want to make sure that they're healthy. Looking at their gums, when you look at their mouth, you're looking at their teeth, you're looking at their gums. You want to make sure they have good teeth so that they're able to eat. Bad teeth mean that they're going to have like gum disease, periodontal disease. They're not going to be able to eat hard food. They're going to have teeth rot. It's not something that you want to have to deal with. Looking at their gums will tell you, do they have an infection? Are their gums swollen? Are they anemic, meaning their gums are really white instead of being this like pinkish color because there's not a lot of blood flow? You want their eyes to be clear and bright. When I say clear, think of like when we talked about cataracts and how they get kind of cloudy and foggy. You want to make sure their eyes are clear. You want to make sure that they're bright. Make sure that they're alert, that they're looking around, that they can see and they know what's going on. Their nose should be cool, maybe even a little bit damp. You don't really want it to be like super hot, because typically heat indicates an infection. Not always true. Some cats, they're going to have a dry nose. Some cats, they're going to have a warm nose. Like, I can tell you right now, I could probably go touch Raisin's nose and it would be hot right now because he's just a hot-natured cat. And then you want to make sure that they have a clean coat, that it looks healthy, it's not matted, it's not falling out. If they don't have a clean, glossy-looking coat, then that can mean that they have some kind of external parasite. They could have fleas, they could have ticks, or they could have internal parasites. And those internal parasites are taking away their nutrients that they're eating and causing their hair to not look as good. You also want to continue looking for signs of illness. Make sure that your cat is healthy. Make sure they don't have any discharge from the nose or the eyes. This typically means they have some kind of infection. Build-up of wax in the ears. You want to make sure they have clean ears. This is kind of a catch. You are put a little asterisk beside this because some cats are gonna have wax in their ears if they don't have hair in their ears. Like, the purpose of cats having hair in their ears is to try to keep their hair or keep their ears clean and prevent wax buildup. But when you have cats that don't have a lot of hair or have really short hair, like cats like Raisin, I have to clean his ears out when he gets a bath because he doesn't have the hair in his ears to be able to catch the stuff that's getting in there. And so he gets wax buildup. So just be aware, remember the little asterisks. It's not always a bad thing. It might just be like, okay, I'm gonna have to actively try to keep this cat's ears cleaned. Look for fleas, parasites. Obviously this isn't something that you want, but it's not always gonna be a bad thing. Like, you can give them flea medicine to get rid of the fleas. You can give them dewormer to get rid of the worms. Pot-bellied cats, especially kittens, where everything looks all good, they're nice, they're skinny, but when you get to their belly, instead of being this straight line or even just a little bit fat like you might think, it's large, it's hanging down, and it's just their belly. Their belly looks swollen. Typically, this means that they have worms. You want to think about grooming for your cat. Cats are honestly, they're really good about grooming themselves, but when you go in to groom them, it helps them. It's less work on them. You're gonna have less hairballs if your cat is prone to having hairballs. Where you just go in and you're gonna be able to get more hair off of them than they're gonna be able to get off because they've only got their little bitty tongue. That's all they can groom themselves with. If you go in with like a comb or a brush or something, you're gonna get a lot more hair, a lot more quickly. When you groom them, it also gives you a chance to kind of like get up close and personal with them, where you can check out their skin, you can look at their eyes, look at their ears, make sure that everything looks good. So grooming long-haired cats, of course, there's more that goes along with grooming long-haired cats because they have more hair. Long-haired cats, you're gonna wanna brush them often. Some cats are more prone to getting matted than others. Some cats are gonna have just like fine, silky, really pretty hair that isn't gonna mat. And then some cats are gonna have hair that's just prone to getting matted, and they're gonna need to be brushed a lot. You can even encounter this in the same litter. Simba doesn't get mats. Like, his hair is like nice, it's soft, it's smooth, it's easy to brush. Whereas his brother has to get taken to the vet like twice a year to be put down using anesthesia and then shaved down because his hair just gets so matted and he won't let Mark's grandma brush him or brush him in the way to make sure that he's not getting those mats. It all depends on the type of hair that the cat has. Different pieces of equipment that you want to have for cats. You want to have combs. There's different types of combs. You want to have blunt end scissors. So where you have scissors, but rather than them being sharp and pointy, you want them to have a blunt end so that if your cat has a mat, you can go and you can cut it out without worrying that you're going to accidentally stab them if they move one way or the other. Nail clippers, if your cat will let you clip their nails. Some cats will, some cats won't. I've never even tried it with Simba or Mal. Simba would probably let me do it. Mal, most definitely not. Raisin, he doesn't care. Like, Raisin will literally sit back like a person and just let me come through and clip all of the nails. It depends on the cat and their personality, and it also works really good if you can start them young doing it so that they're used to it. A grooming brush, keep in mind the difference between a brush and a comb. And then some people will use grooming powder. This isn't something that I use, but you can use it, and we'll get into it in a couple of bullets. So the combs, you want to have combs of 2 different sizes. Typically, it's going to be the same comb, and the bristles, half of it is going to be the bristles going to be really, really close together, and then the other ones are going to be wider apart. The wider apart one helps you to brush through and make sure there aren't any big tangles or mats. And in the little one, is finer. It's a fine tooth comb that allows you to like get down, and it works similar like a flea comb, where you can get down to the skin and brush. And if there's anything in your animal's coat that isn't a tangle, that fine tooth comb should be able to grab it so you can see. A grooming brush, you want to make sure that it has like natural bristles instead of nylon bristles, because the nylon bristles can cause static. And what you don't want to happen is you to be brushing your cat and then them get up and go touch something and accidentally shock their nose or something. Because then they're going to be mad, they're going to be scared, and they're going to think that whatever it is that they touched, it could be the fridge, it could be the floor, it could be you. They're going to think that whatever it is that they touched hurt them and meant to hurt them. If you want to use grooming powder on your long-haired cat, you can. What you do is it's going to be one of the last steps. You brush against the grain. So if your cat's hair grows down, you brush up and you take a little bit of powder and you just sprinkle that right on the coat. You can use baby powder, talcum powder, cornstarch. Essentially what it does is it soaks up any extra oils that your cat's skin is producing, because those oils, if they're not evenly distributed throughout your cat's coat, if those oils aren't distributed, then they're just going to sit there. And that's going to be what causes those mats to start forming. So some people, if their cat's prone to getting mats, they'll end up using that baby powder and they'll brush against the grain, sprinkle some powder up there, and then they'll brush the hair back down in hopes that the grooming powder is going to help prevent or at least like slow down the process of the cat getting matted. So different ways that you can use the equipment: a wide tooth comb, which is going to be the part of the comb with the teeth are wider set apart. This is what you use at first to try to get all the tangles. You want to be careful using the comb around sensitive areas of the cat, like their stomach, their tail, their legs, parts where they're going to get mad. If you catch a tangle and you're like, hold still, and you're trying to like pull the comb through the tangle, you want to be careful with this. Blunt end scissors, we already talked about. They're used to make sure you're not accidentally stabbing the cat if they move one way or the other, to cut out any pieces of like tangled or matted hair. So if your cat has a really bad tangle by their tail that they're not going to let you brush out, then that's when you take that wide tooth comb and you take the scissors and you just cut that tangle out. Because if they're not going to let you brush it out, it's not going to go away on its own. Once you've gone through and you brush the cat's coat, making sure there's no tangles, no mats, then you use the fine tooth comb to get like down to the skin to see like other fleas, mites, lice, stuff like ticks, like external parasites that are going to be on the animal's skin. If you want to use the grooming powder, that's when you brush against the way the cat's hair grows and then sprinkle in that powder. Then you use like that soft bristle brush made of natural hair and brush the cat's hair back down, because the cat doesn't want to leave getting groomed with their hair sticking all out, looking crazy. So here's a picture of some of the different pieces of grooming equipment. You've got the fine and the wide tooth comb right here. You've got your two different brushes. This is going to be an actual flea comb. If you don't have an actual flea comb, this is where you use that fine tooth portion. These are nail clippers, and these I don't know if I would consider these scissors blunt-ended scissors. They should literally be like almost flat on the end or round, at least rounded off. Think of like kids' safe scissors. So grooming short-haired cats, usually done with the fine tooth comb, skinny part of the comb because they don't have a ton of hair. You don't need to use this wide tooth part because you're not going to get anything. They don't have enough hair to really get tangled. This bullet right here, I feel like it sounds silly for me to go over because I've never actually seen or heard of anyone doing this, but it is a school night question. School night question is going to ask you, what are you going to use to groom a soft-haired cat or something along those lines? And you're going to have this option. Essentially what it is It's almost kind of like a tight t-shirt or a wrap that you put around your cat. And I guess the only reason you would want to use it is if you had like a show cat. Where after you groom them, you want to make sure their hair stays slicked down. So you put it on the cat and you get it nice and tight around them so that their hair on their body stays laid down and it doesn't stick up, move one way or the other. You can use like a rubber grooming brush, which is going to be what this is right here. But honestly, they don't work super great, especially on like a short-haired cat. It just doesn't work very well in picking up the actual hairs because their hairs are so short. So bathing cats. When you bathe cats, if you bathe cats, it's not done very commonly. Typically only done if a cat needs to do it or if the cat is like a show cat. If you're gonna bathe your cat, it's something that you want to start doing when they're young. It's not something that you want to have like a 4-year-old cat and you're like, all right, Simba, time for you to get a bath, and then just like start going at it. Because they're gonna hate that. They're gonna hate you, they're gonna hate the water, they're gonna hate the bathroom or wherever it is that you're giving them a bath at. When we got Raisin, we knew that he was gonna have to have baths. So as soon as we got him, we try to give him a bath every week. Try to keep it on a routine so that he knows that it's okay. Sorry, there's a plane flying over the house. So you want to start bathing cats pretty early in their life so that they get used to it. You don't want to splash the water or run the water while the cat is in the tub or the sink, because then they think, oh my God, I'm going to drown because this water continues rising, or oh my God, I'm getting wet and I don't know why. And they start freaking out because cats don't naturally really like water. You want to go on ahead, you want to run the water, you want to have it sitting there. You don't want it to be too hot, you don't want it to be too cold. You want to just have like some nice warm water for them. So that you can take them, you can put them in the tub, and they're all good and fine. You don't want to like yell around them, try to scare them, make any sudden movements. You just want to get them in the water, get a little bit of soap, lather them up, and rinse them. You only want to bathe them up to like the back of their neck. You want to avoid getting their eyes and their ears wet. They really, really, really don't like that. And it's going to be at that point that they're like, all right, I've had enough. I'm out of here. And they're going to try to get out. You can use shampoo. You can use medicated wash, baby shampoo. For Raisin at least, I just use Dawn dish soap. Because the reason Raisin needs a bath is because his body still produces oil like he has hair on him. Because he doesn't though, that oil just sticks on him and he literally gets like kind of greasy. So I use Dawn soap because it works to try to fight and really gets that grease off of him. If your cats have fleas, there's medicated shampoo. If they have dandruff, if they have dry, itchy skin, like essentially there's medicated shampoos out there for just about any issue that your cat or your dog could be having. Baby shampoo works really good too because you want something soft and gentle for them. You don't want something that's going to like completely dry their skin out and cause them to get irritated. You want to try, I would say towel dry them, most definitely, because honestly, I've never seen a cat that enjoys a hair dryer. Because to me, they equate hair dryer with the vacuum. And again, never met a cat that likes the vacuum. So the hair dryer, I think, would freak them out, especially considering the air that is just blowing on them, whether it's too hot, whether it's too cold, they can't control it, they're gonna want to get away. So towel drying them is probably gonna be the best thing that you can do, and even then, you're not gonna get them completely dry. You wanna get them as dry as they'll let you, but they're not gonna let you completely dry them off. A couple funny pictures of cats getting baths. I did a couple years ago have to give Simba and Mal baths. Not great, didn't go well. They got baths, but it's not something I ever want to have to do again. They hate it, they're mad, they're sad, they're scared especially, you really want to avoid scaring them. In this picture up here, you got a nice little long-haired Persian cat. You can see the smushed in nose. Notice that they only go up to the back of the neck. You don't want to get their eyes and their ears wet. They're really, really, really going to hate that. It's not something that you want to have to do to them. Then some other grooming tips. When you're grooming them, check their ears, check for mites, check for crust, check for build-up wax. Typically, if they have mites, you're going to see this like dark, crumbly, almost kind of like coffee grounds, wet coffee grounds in their ears. You want to clean their ears out. They make like ear rinse, basically. And for Raisin at least, I just use like the little cotton makeup removal pads. Put some of the ear cleaner up there, and then I just get in his ears and I move all around. You don't want to use Q-tips, because if they move one way or the other, you can end up accidentally going into further than you want into their ear canal and causing them to like bust an eardrum. You want to check their teeth, check their gums. Feeding them dry food helps to keep their teeth healthier than if you give them strictly wet food, because that wet food, all that moisture is just going to sit in their mouth. And it's going to cause their teeth to end up getting to teeth rot sooner than if you just feed them dry food. Dry food is good for all cats so long as they have good working teeth. Typically, the only time you want to put your cat on a wet food only diet is going to be when their teeth get so bad, and hopefully it's when they're really old, that they're not able to do wet food, or they're not able to do dry food anymore. When it comes to trimming their nails, only do it when they need it. Just like when we trim the animals' nails in class, you want to avoid the pink part. You don't want to trim down too far and get into those blood vessels. And honestly, for cats, you don't really need to trim their nails too often if you give them something to scratch their nails on. And our cats, they have like 2 or 3 of them. They've got one upstairs and they've got one downstairs that they're able to just like dig their claws into to try to keep them shorter. Scratching toast. What you don't want to do for your cats is declaw them. Declawing is super inhumane. Thankfully, most vets are getting to the point where they refuse to declaw cats, because the cat's nail, even though you're taking off the claw, the nail actually grows out of the bone. So when they take it off, they're not actually taking the entire thing off, because it literally connects to the bone. So the nail ends up regrowing, but it's stuck in the skin. So you end up getting animals, like a lot of times people with big cats, like tigers, lions, panthers, stuff like that, they'll declaw them because obviously you don't want to get attacked by a lion or a tiger. So they declaw them. But what ends up happening is it cripples the cat. They can't like climb trees anymore. They can't dig in. They can't grab anything. You're taking away their natural ability, and their nails continue growing. So while that nail continues growing inside of their skin, they're literally having to tiptoe around, so that they, rather than being able to walk flat, they end up curling their feet inwards and almost walking on their knuckles, because it hurts so much, because that nail is trying to pierce through the skin and it's just not letting it. So declawing cats is something that most vets will try to avoid doing. It seems like a very, very, very last resort, because it cripples the cat for life. There's no way that you can go in and try to fix it. You can see in this picture of the declawed cat where the nail, it's still growing in the skin. And if you look, you can see how the little toes are now inflamed, where the nails just continue growing and actually start trying to curl back inwards. It's really painful for the cats, and it should definitely not be done. Some apartment complexes will try to require you to declaw your cats. And honestly, most of them, like the apartment complex I lived at when I was in college, tried to get me to declaw Simba. And just never did anything. And they never found out because they had no way of coming to, like, they would literally have to come to my apartment and say, let me see Simba's nails. Is he declawed? And they weren't ever going to actually do that. That was just one of their requirements. Have to have rabies, have to be declawed. And I was like, okay, he has his rabies and I'm not declawing him. I just didn't say anything because they never asked for any kind of proof of whether or not he was declawed. And that's something that I would never, ever, ever do to my cats. So y'all's assignment for today, I've got a template that y'all can end up using. You need to look up these 6 things about declawing cats. What is it? What is declawing cats? Like, what is the procedure? Why is the procedure done? What are different alternatives to declawing cats? If the cat has to be declawed, what are the requirements? Like, what is going to have to be the situation for the vet to be like, okay, we will declaw this cat, but only because of this reason? What are the long-term effects of declawing cats? And then a pro-con list of declawing cats. What are the good things about it? What are the bad things about it? So the template, so here's your template. Exactly what I said. What is it? Why is it done? What are the alternatives? What are the requirements? Long-term effects and pro-cons. I'm perfectly fine with you just doing like a bulleted list. So that's it. Perfect timing because the AC for my house just turned on and I don't know how well you can hear me. So take it easy, you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Still missing y'all, and I hope I'll get to see you guys soon. But good luck.